Arsenal urgently buys a forward. The deal is already done. Manchester City gets Donnarumma for peanuts. Tottenham's record transfer and Camavinga to Manchester United. All of this and more in today's episode. Galatasaray is actively working on the transfer of Manchester City's 30-year-old centre-back, Manuel Akanji. The Swiss player's contract with the English club is valid until 2027, but Gala is optimistic. The deal can be finalised before the transfer window in Turkey closes on September 12th. Akanji is a versatile player, capable of playing both in the centre and on the right in defence. His experience in the Bundesliga, Premier League and Champions League is exactly what Okan Buruk is looking for to strengthen his defence before the European competitions. In turn, Gigi Donnarumma has already agreed to a contract with Manchester City until 2030. A principled agreement has been reached, and now everything depends on the final step, the sale of Ederson to Galatasaray, where he has already agreed to personal terms. PSG has opened the door for the transfer, as Donnarumma refused to extend his contract, which expires next summer. The club has already acquired a new number 1, Lucas Chevalier from Lille, and excluded the Italian from the squad for the Super Cup match against Tottenham. Donnarumma himself emotionally said goodbye to the fans, stating, "I am disappointed and depressed. Someone decided that I am no longer part of this project." City is acting fast. After the transfer of James Trafford and the expected departure of Ederson, the club is preparing an official offer for PSG. The initial price was 45 to 50 million euros, but the Parisians are no longer playing poker. They are now ready to accept 23 million euros, and some sources even name a minimum threshold of 20 million euros. The reason is obvious. Donnarumma's contract expires in June 2026, and the club does not want to lose him for free. This opens up a perfect window for City, which already has an agreement with the player and is just waiting for Ederson to leave to make the final move. If the transfer is completed, Pep Guardiola will get one of the best goalkeepers in the world, who has just won the Champions League with PSG, and will do so at the price of a reserve winger. And Pep Guardiola himself is determined to make a serious rebuild. He stated that he sees positive changes in the team, from small things in training to the players' body language. "I still have 2 years left on my contract. Maybe I'll extend it for another 2 years. The point is that I will take a break after I leave, whether it's in a year, 2 or 4. But right now I feel good. I like the atmosphere in the team. Something that I really like, something that we lacked last season, appeared at the World Cup. I see it in training, I see it in body language, in the details, in what time the players arrive, in how we defend on throw-ins, in all sorts of silly things that allow me to say, okay, this will help us. I think we will be more stable than last season," the coach said. "It's interesting what place City will finish this season. What do you think?" Douglas Luiz returns to England, but not where he was expected. After a failed season at Juventus, where he never managed to secure a place in the starting lineup, Nottingham Forest unexpectedly comes to the forefront. The club's owner Evangelos Marinakis personally held talks with Juve's CEO Damian Comolli, and the parties agreed on a transfer of about £25 million. The contract is until 2030, with a salary of about €5 million per year, plus bonuses. This is not just a return to the Premier League, it's an attempt to restart his career at a club that is building a new identity. Forest gets a player with experience, technique and character, and Luiz gets a chance to become a key player again. In Turin, he remained a shadow of himself. 27 matches, no goals, no assists, and even a pre-season header looked like a farewell gesture. Now, a new stage, new expectations, and possibly a new role. Arsenal is urgently entering the market after Kai Havertz's injury, which could leave the German out of action for several months. According to The Athletic, the player missed training, and the club is already preparing for the worst-case scenario. Kai suffered a knee injury, and although the exact diagnosis has not yet been established, people in London remember well how expensive improvisation in attack was last season. In the 2024-25 campaign, the Gunners spent most of their time without a nominal centre-forward. After Havertz's injury in February and constant problems with Gabriel Jesus, Arteta was forced to use Mikel Merino as a false nine. This summer, the club has already signed Victor Gyökeres, but after the Swedes' weak start against Manchester United, Arsenal does not want to risk it a second time. That's why the Londoners activated negotiations with Crystal Palace and quickly agreed on the transfer of 𝗗𝗘𝗔𝗟 𝗗𝗢𝗡 Eze, a player who can cover several attacking positions at once. According to Sky Sports, the clubs have already reached a full agreement and the deal can be considered closed. Palace will receive a package of £67.5 million, including bonuses, and Eze himself chose Arsenal despite active interest from Tottenham. The contract is for a term until the summer of 2030, and the player's salary will be £100,000 per week. The medical examination is scheduled for Friday, and the presentation will be in the coming days. Eze is not just a reinforcement. He can act as a playmaker, winger, or attacking midfielder. Arteta gets a player who not only compensates for the loss of Havertz, but also adds variability to the team's game plan. This is a transfer that can change the course of the season and make the Gunners even more dangerous. So what does that mean? Will Arsenal win the Premier League this season? After Arsenal snatched 𝗗𝗘𝗚 Eze literally at the finish line, Tottenham is forced to urgently review its transfer plans. According to Sportsmole, the Spurs were confident in a deal with Eze, especially after James Maddison's injury, but now the club has switched to a more explosive option. Savinho, the 21-year-old Brazilian winger from Manchester City, spent last season with City, playing 54 matches, scoring 7 goals, and making 11 assists in all competitions. His dribbling, speed, and ability to create chances out of nothing made him one of the brightest players in the Premier League. Tottenham's new head coach, Thomas Frank, sees Savinho as a key element in the attack's rebuilding. According to The Telegraph, the Spurs have already made an offer of £70 million, but City rejected it. The Londoners are ready to raise the bid to £75 million, which would make Savinho the most expensive transfer in Tottenham's history, surpassing Dominic Solanke's record of £65 million plus bonuses. Negotiations are ongoing, and Tottenham is expected to try to close the deal by the end of August. For the Spurs, this is not just a transfer, it's a response to the humiliation from Arsenal, an attempt to regain control of the narrative in North London, and a statement for a new era. Aston Villa is considering the transfer of Nicolas Jackson, but £60 million is too much. According to The Telegraph, the club cannot afford such a sum, even after selling Jacob Ramsey to Newcastle for £43 million and loaning Leon Bailey. The only realistic option is a loan with an option or obligation to buy, although Chelsea insists on a permanent transfer. Unai Emery remains a big fan of Jackson since his time at Villarreal and wants to add dynamism to the attack without touching Ollie Watkins. Jackson scored 13 goals last season, but after the arrival of Liam Delap and João Pedro, his role at Chelsea has diminished. The feud between Isak and Newcastle has now gone public. Promises were made, and you know it. Alexander Isak publicly addressed Newcastle via Instagram, explaining his absence at the PFA ceremony. "I have been silent for a long time while others promoted their version of events, but promises were made, and the club has long known my position. When trust disappears, relationships cannot last." In response, Newcastle issued an official statement. No club representative has ever promised that Alex would be able to leave Newcastle this summer. Isak missed the start of the season. Liverpool has already offered £110 million, but was rejected. The player is boycotting training, and the club risks losing him through FIFA Article 17, and then the compensation will be half as much. In the end, Isak will still move to Liverpool, perhaps with fines, but they will be covered by the new club. And Newcastle, by stalling, is only reducing their own profit. Sell now and buy a new forward. Otherwise, you'll be left without money, without a player, and without a plan. Julian Alvarez regrets his move to Atletico Madrid. This is the position voiced by the Argentines representatives after the match against Espanyol, where he scored a fantastic goal from a free kick, but was substituted in the 82nd minute with the score at 1-1. 2 minutes later, Atletico conceded the decisive goal, and Alvarez's face on the bench said more than any words. His entourage believes that the move from Manchester City was a mistake. "We made a mistake by giving him to Simeone. He doesn't know how to work with world-class stars, and it's not his fault. It's ours." Matias Palacios quotes sources from the player's inner circle. Alvarez, who scored 29 goals in 57 matches last season, often played out of position, chased fullbacks, or was on the bench without explanation. The forward's contract is valid until 2030, but his name is already appearing in transfer rumours. And although he decided to stay at Atletico this summer, his enthusiasm disappeared after the first round. Are we in for another player boycott? This is becoming a trend. Isak is sabotaging Newcastle for Liverpool. Wissa is not showing up for Brentford training and wants to go to Newcastle. Gyökeres was pressuring Sporting to get to Arsenal, and that was after a season with 54 goals. Now Álvarez. What is this? An evolution of footballers' rights or a degradation of professionalism? Football is changing, and it's not certain that it's for the better. Manchester United are considering the possibility of acquiring Real Madrid midfielder Eduardo Camavinga for €80 million, 𝗗𝗘𝗔𝗟 reports. Ruben Amorim sees the Frenchman as a key element of his system after failed negotiations for Carlos Baleba and Crystal Palace's refusal to sell Adam Wharton. Camavinga has a contract until 2029, but his position in the team is unstable due to competition with Tchouaméni, Valverde, and the return of Arda Güler. After Toni Kroos's retirement, Real Madrid is looking for new dynamics in the center of the field, but Camavinga does not always get a stable role. Amorim plans to use Camavinga alongside Fernandes to free up Bruno for attacking actions. After the defeat to Arsenal in the first round of the Premier League, the need for a dynamic midfielder became obvious. Marcus Rashford, the new João Félix. Comparisons that don't please the Englishman are already appearing in the Barcelona locker room. Some players believe that Rashford, despite his talent, does not have the right mentality to become a leader at Camp Nou, just as it was with Félix. And this is after he was called a beast in the first training sessions. The contrast between physical form and inner confidence is the main topic of behind-the-scenes conversations. Rashford came on loan from Man United, agreed to a salary reduction, and has a chance to stay for €30 million in 2026. But it is already clear, trust is not automatic. That's it for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Keep watching for more football action and have a wonderful day.